Let's talk a little bit about the stigma against testosterone use. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today. But a quick reminder, if you guys will please click like down below, I greatly appreciate it. If you aren't following or subscribed to me, please do so. Click that button so you can follow for more, and drop me a comment down below with your thoughts. I would appreciate it so much. All right, let's get over to the topic. I think most people who follow me know I have a very pro-testosterone stance, and I'm not even talking about TRT. Like when I say testosterone, I am talking about if people simply choose to use testosterone as adults who own their own body and get to decide what to do with it. That's been the fascinating thing. The really fascinating thing about it, before we even jump into the insane stigma against people literally going to their doctor and getting TRT, who therapeutically benefit from it, whose doctor thinks they could benefit from it. When a massive wide-scale study actually showed men who choose to go on TRT who have clinically low testosterone, which is like 50% of the population over 40 at this point, guess what happens? Their stroke and heart attack rates go down 30%. All right, so there shouldn't even be any stigma there. Like, to have any stigma at all against the therapeutic, you literally just hate men. Or you're part of some natural bodybuilding cult that puts the whole natty thing literally above health. All right, now, that being said, again, that shouldn't even be a topic. Anyone who's anti-TRT at this point, because we're going to talk about not TRT, it's really what this video is about. But if you're anti-TRT, just admit you hate men and you hate health and you hate fitness. It's that simple. That is the only possible explanation. You are ignoring the data, you don't believe in modern medicine, and you hate men. That's it. You're anti-health and you're anti-male. That's it. That's the only possible explanations. Or you're profoundly ignorant. That's the only possible explanations on that one. But let's come back over to the other point. Look, we're in a society now, so let's set aside medical benefit. We're in a society to where cosmetic procedures are the norm. It is perfectly normal everywhere for people to get a facelift, for people to get implants, to get lip fillers, to get Botox. How about hair implants? All these cosmetic, completely unnecessary things, right? How about getting veneers because you don't like your teeth? Is there any of that necessary? No, this is all cosmetic. People are doing purely for their own vanity or other reasons. Okay, this is normal. There is no stigma against that for the most part today. In fact, it's common practice. So why then is there stigma against men and women, by the way, because plenty of women use testosterone who don't look masculine or even look like female bodybuilders for you. We don't even need to go there. Plenty of women use a low dose of test who don't look like that. Why then, if a man says, I want to be a little bigger and stronger and better performance and focus and virility than normal, than average guy, what's the problem? Like, why is this a problem? It all comes back to Cold War politics. The entire anti-testosterone thing literally stems back to sports. That's it. And politics. Had that not happened, had this not become a Cold War issue to where we literally got government and media involved in the campaign here, this wouldn't have happened. Or then the publicized thing with Lyall Alzo, he did not even get sick from taking testosterone or anabolics. By the way, the medical condition he died from is entirely related to cadaver growth hormone being ejected from real human cadavers harvested. That is actually why they don't make it anymore. The type of brain cancer that he died from is caused from that drug, and it's no longer made. It's not distributed or made in the US. It's not allowed because of that, because it happens to numerous people, not just him, clinically. So again, such a strange thing, but people have this stigma. Why? And people will argue the health, but where's your proof? I'm not talking about bodybuilders abusing enormous amount of things. We're talking about moderation. And I don't think people understand that. When you see the bodybuilders who die young, if you look at what they are using, the logistics alone of how these people put the amount of substances they put in their body is insane. These are not guys doing one injection a week. These are guys who are shooting up 40 or 50 times a week. And I'm not exaggerating. When I say that, I am not joking, nor am I exaggerating. I literally do mean that. These are guys who are literally putting a needle in their body 5, 6, 7, 8 times a day, every day. Both intramuscular and subcutaneous of a wide variety of substances. They're walking science experiments. That is not what we're talking about either. Well, let's come over to just, even modest testosterone use. We don't have any studies showing harm in healthy people. I'm not talking about the clinically low obese person. We're talking fit people. When studies have been done on healthy men, their blood markers don't actually look bad even when their testosterone is 4 times the normal range. Okay? 4 times the normal range. Like having 4 times what they had at 18 years old. Their health markers don't decline. The leading experts who looked at this, who did their biggest analysis, like it was a year or 2 ago, came out and admitted their conclusions. We tried to study it, and we think anabolic use and testosterone use may shorten lifespan, but we can't find any correlation. And I'm not going to get into what they looked at, but they actually literally determined all these athletes from the 60s and 70s who we pretty much know were on anabolics when we compared to the general population. These are people who all used steroids during their competitive years. They had a longer than average life expectancy. What? They outlived the general population in their own countries. So the only long-time people we look at, or you could take Arnold and it's like, well, he's still alive. You'll say, but he had some heart issues. So do most people at that age. You see the problem? And he was clearly an abuser too. Yet he's still alive. Guys, do you see the problem with this screaming about using a little testosterone? It's not really scientific, is it? It's suspected that there could be health problems. But we don't have hard data. And usually the few health problems we do have are either from extreme abuse, mixing with recreational drugs, of course. Heroin and cocaine do not mix well with steroids, by the way, in health. Or occasionally because of problems due to the black market nature of substances. Well, if they weren't controlled or restricted, those would go away. So again, why do we have this stigma? There's no reason for this stigma to exist. Not today, when cosmetic procedures are perfectly socially acceptable. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.